I'm going to just begin by asking, I mean, maybe audiences can expect to find this character, find a little bit of empathy for this role on this occasion.
Yes.
Is that something that you're quite sort of pleased to delve into?
Absolutely. As an actress, it's always more exciting to play a role that people can understand their motivations. She's a villain, but I believe she's justified in what she's doing. So I'm kind of like her lawyer. I'm like, this is why she's justified. And finally, I think people are going to get to see that in this film. And it's a pretty dark story, actually.
She's sort of humanised in many ways by her kind of relationship, not only with her father and obviously and her sister. I mean, that must have been such an interesting backstory for you to delve into as well. Do you like kind of giving all this context and finding all the kind of different parts of her history that have made her now what she is? Yes,
it's so interesting to go into the history of Nebula because it's such a fascinating story and it's pretty dark. And it's a story of abuse, not to get too serious, but she had a terrible relationship with her father, Thanos, and her sister, Gamora. They were made to do things that they didn't want to do, violent things, and it sort of took its toll on Nebula. And I think everybody's going to see how truly awful it was for her and learn more about the sibling relationship between her and Gamora and how complicated it actually is.
Because of the, like you said, this quite sort of fascinating backstory, James Gunn has actually said that obviously this is a character he wouldn't mind seeing a spin-off movie for. Yes. I mean, is that something you've actually spoken about? And I'm assuming that's something you'd be keen to do if it was to come into fruition.
I mean, that would be amazing. That would be the dream. We've never spoken about it though. Maybe I'll try and casually bring it up tonight at the premiere. I'll just be like, spin-off.
And when you're sort of wearing all this sort of makeup and you're acting in front of, I'm assuming, quite a lot of green screen, unless they actually created this entire universe. But I mean, can it be harder to find that kind of nuance in a character when you're kind of in such a grandiose sort of environment?
To be honest, I mean, as an actor, your job is to just find the truth in any situation that you're in, whether you're in space or on Earth or anywhere. And I've worked in sci-fi for a little while now, so I'm sort of used to like imaginary environments and green screen and reacting off of things that aren't there. So it's become fairly normal for me, actually.
And do you get stopped often by kind of fans of the franchise for this part? Or do you think because of the kind of the complete stark difference in obviously the way the character looks and how you look, do you think actually you can sometimes sort of go unnoticed?
Completely. No one recognises me for this character at all because I'm not blue or bald anymore. My own mother didn't recognise me in the first film for a second there, so I can go under the radar.
And you're obviously directing soon, or you have directed. I mean, how much can you learn from directors like James? Because I mean, when you're on a sort of a set like this, which I've been on kind of set visits of movies of this nature, and what they have to do is remarkable. Like they've got all these tools, but actually sometimes the more tools you have, the harder it is to tell your story.
That's interesting. Yes. I mean, so I've directed one feature film now, and it was an amazing experience, and I learned so much from James Gunn actually working with him, because he is one of the best directors I've ever worked with in terms of talking to actors. I mean, he just gives you the reassurance and confidence to be able to take risks, and that's a huge part of being a director, is assembling a team of people who are really good at what they do and then just letting them do it. And yeah, I didn't have as many tools as Guardians of the Galaxy, and in a way it probably was simpler.
Have you found that this has been something that you've been quite inherently passionate about right from the very offset? Have you always kind of studied the kind of craft of the director, even if it was just sort of subconsciously?
Absolutely. I used to make films when I was a kid, little horror films. I had this video camera and it was like my prized possession. And so I have all these, like a backlog of films actually, and they're pretty bad, but also like not as bad as they could be. And I was in them as well. So I feel like I've been doing this for a little while now, actually.
What sort of genre did you used to, were comedies?
They were
or
all
adventure?
horror movies, and I always killed my father in them, which I don't know what that says about our relationship, but...
So I mean, obviously Infinity War is the next big Marvel production that we will see this character in, because the Guardians crew feel quite self-contained and quite away from a lot of the kind of the Marvel kind of Avengers and stuff like that, but you're quite excited to see how they kind of interact, and is there one character you're most excited to see about seeing Nebula kind of meet and converse with?
I am really intrigued to see how the Guardians fit into the Avengers equation. Actually, I have already seen some of it, and it's very cool. I can't say anything, but I don't know who I want Nebula to meet, but I think Iron Man or Spider-Man would be really cool.
And when you were on the set, I mean, when you're seeing, I mean, because obviously these actors become these characters, it's such an incredible way. Like Robert Downey Jr. is so much, so Iron Man now, you know. And when you're kind of on set and you sort of see them walk around and all they get up, it must be pretty cool.
It's the coolest thing ever. When there's superheroes everywhere, just like drinking coffee.
Yeah, just sort of sitting in the canteen.
Yeah, doing like really mundane things. I love it.
There's a documentary in that. Thank you so much for your time
Thanks
today.
so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.